With the NBA season officially coming to an end, the NBA draft is now right around the corner. So today we're going to be doing an NBA mock draft. I'm going to be using the No Ceilings mock draft simulator. I've heard a lot of great things about it. It's actually really fun to use, really easy to use as well. And I'm going to be doing it as the draft stands today. I know there's a lot of trades that could happen, but for the sake of this draft, we're going to be doing it as the picks look right now today. I also want to note that I'm not going to be going super duper in depth with these picks. I'm going to be doing it quick, super raw, and the direction I think the teams will go with the draft. Starting off with the Washington Wizards, I think everyone knows the direction they're going to go in. They're going to go best player available here, and they're going after their new franchise player in AJ Debonsa. He's definitely the best player in this draft, and it is a no-brainer pick, super easy for them to choose here. Next up, we have the Utah Jazz. A lot of stuff came out lately about how Darren Peterson only had a workout with the Wizards, and his camp thinks he's going number 1 overall. I think the Jazz see that. I know they retaliated that and said that they'll draft him no matter what. They don't really care what he thinks. They did it with Ace Bailey last year. But honestly, I think they could go a different direction here. They could go after a guy like Cam Boozer. His dad's on the scouting department. Dad played for them. I think they go Cam Boozer here, kind of bolster the front court, especially with the Walker Kessler situation they have going on. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. And if the Jazz go front court and take Boozer, the Grizzlies are going to go Darren Peterson. They have a lot of stuff going on with Ja right now. Is he going to get traded? Will he even be on the team next year? And they have a chance to bring in a guy like Darren Peterson, a new franchise guard. He's not the same playmaker, but he can score with the best of them. A super solid, polished player. So I think the Grizzlies go Darren Peterson here. To round out the top floor, we have Caleb Wilson going to the Bulls. He fits everything they're trying to build. A great prospect for them, and he's going to fall right in their lap at number 4. Then we get to the point where the draft gets kind of interesting. The Clippers have already came out and they said they don't love Keaton Wagler. I don't know if that's like a tactic to kind of get teams to sort of send trade offers so they can trade back. I have no idea what they're doing there. I think Keaton Wagler is the best pick for them. They have Darius Garland there. He's kind of a smaller guard, doesn't defend very well. They could bring in a guy like Keaton Wagler who brings positional size and defense as well as an ability to play off ball to play beside him. I think that they would be stupid to not go after Keaton Wagler. I think he'd fit their system pretty well. I think here they definitely go after Keaton Wagler. Next, we have the Brooklyn Nets. No-brainer pick again. Got to be Darius Aikoff. They brought in 4 guards last year. None of them are really primary ball handlers, super solidified guards. I think Darius Aikoff has a chance to be a franchise type of player. I know there's all the talk about his defense not being great, but he put up 23.5 and 6 assists on incredible efficiency all season long. A future franchise point guard and a difference maker wherever he ends up. And here, I think it'll be with the Brooklyn Nets. Then we get to the Sacramento Kings. They got to go best player available here, and they got to go point guard. They don't really have a solidified point guard on their roster at all. Sacramento's a mess right now. The only cornerstone they came and announced that they actually have is Keegan Murray and Nick Clifford. So I guess 2 franchise cornerstones. They label both of them untouchable, which is really funny. But I think they got to go best player available here, and they got to go Michael Brown. A true shot creator, a true difference maker. Did incredible things at Louisville all season long. Scores in bunches, can play make as well. Super crafty, gets to the hoop, gets a shot, and has incredible range. Sacramento Kings will be selecting Michael Brown in my mock draft. Then we get to the Atlanta Hawks. This is where things get a little bit more different compared to the last couple of picks. I think here they go Ade Mara. They have kind of a hole at center. I know they have a Kongu. He's a little bit undersized. He's moving into kind of that 4 position the way he can space the floor. They have a chance to bring in a new 7'3" big man that will protect the rim, has incredible touch around the hoop, defends tremendously, and moves incredibly well for a 7'3" big man. I think the Atlanta Hawks here go big instead of guard and take Ade Mara. Then brings us to the Dallas Mavericks, and it leaves us with one guy, Braden Burries. I love Braden Burries in the Mavericks. I think he fits everything they're trying to do. He'll complement Kyrie very well. He's a little bit older for a freshman, but at 6'3", he has a 6'6" wingspan, defends well, absolute dog, says it right there. Looked like a polished NBA-ready guard all season long at Arizona. I think Dallas won't even hesitate to bring him in at this pick. I'd be surprised if he even falls to them at this pick. Milwaukee Bucks, they got to go guard here. I don't know what they're doing with Giannis. Nobody knows what they're doing with Giannis. But if Kingston Fleming's there, they'd be stupid not to bring him up. They have kind of a hole at point guard. I know they have Ryan Rollins. I know they have Kevin Porter Jr. But who knows what this team looks like next year? And they could be going straight to a reset after they trade Giannis, which I assume he'll be gone before the draft. What's a better way to do that than by bringing in a future franchise point guard? A two-way player that can score and play make, gets to the hoop, hits his shots. He does have to show a little bit more consistently shooting behind the line, but he's almost shooting at 40% in college. Put up 16 points per game on 5 assists, and he's going to defend with the best of them. I think the Bucks go Kings and Flemings here. Now it brings us to the Golden State Warriors. They have their pick of Yaxel Lendeborg, LeBaron Philon, Morris Johnson Jr. Any of these 3, they've had all 3 of these guys in for workouts. They even had Hayden Steinbach in for a workout down here. But I think it'd be a little too early to draft him. He doesn't really fit what they need. I know the fan base is kind of split right now between Yaxel and LeBaron. I personally am on the LeBaron side. I think we need a shot creator. I think the Warriors need another guy that can create his own shot, get his own offense, and find his teammates as well. All they have right now doing that is Steph Curry. I think if they bring in one more guard to help out with that, I know they have lack of wing depth and they have a lot of injuries going into next year. But I think if they bring in LeBaron Philon, he can be a true difference maker and the next franchise cornerstone. So with the 11th pick, I have the Warriors taking LeBaron Philon Jr. Brings us to the Thunder. Not going to talk about too much. They're going to get Yaxel Lendeborg. I don't think the league wants this to happen, but I think it's going to happen. They won't hesitate to take him. He's probably one of the most polished players in the draft, one of the most NBA-ready players in the draft as well. And that's what the Thunder do. The Thunder are going to bring in guys that can help them win, and he will absolutely help them win and fill a hole at the wing. They're supposed to lose one of Aaron Wiggins or Isaiah Joe this offseason with their cap space, and I don't even think they'll hesitate to draft the Yaxel here. Then we get to the Miami Heat. Miami Heat are kind of in a weird situation. We don't know if they're going to trade for Giannis or what. They are listed as the favorite, but for now, we're going as it is right now. And they have a hole at the wing. I think the best option for them here would be Nate Ament. I'm not super high on Nate Ament. I don't think he's a great player. He had his up and downs all year. He's all upside, though. When you think Nate Ament, you think potential and upside. He's 6'10", can create his own shot, has the ability to score, space the floor, can get into the post as well as hit the deep ball. Does a little bit of everything at that wing position at 6'10". He's young, but like I said, high upside. Kind of one of those players that would fall in the Miami Heat, and they kind of mold him in what they want him to be. Now we come to the Charlotte Hornets. I think here the Charlotte Hornets would go big, and the best big available is Morez Johnson Jr., one of the best defenders in college basketball all season long. And they don't really have a solidified center right now. Kalkbrenner and Diabate were kind of splitting minutes all season long. They now have a chance to bring in a solidified center in Morez Johnson Jr., and I think he's going to fall for them. I think they'd be ridiculous not to take him. I feel like he'd fit in perfectly. He runs the floor incredibly well for his size. 6'9", 7'3.5" wingspan. Nuts. Will defend the hoop. High motor player. Super strong. Plays the game the right way. And will definitely help the Charlotte Hornets team take what they're doing to the next step. Back to the Chicago Bulls. They need a shooting guard. They absolutely do need a shooting guard beside Josh Giddey. Especially a shooting guard that can defend. And Cameron Carr can do that. Not only can he defend, he can play off ball, come off screens, and knock down the 3-ball. We saw him explode at the draft combine. I think he'd fit really well beside Josh Giddey, because Josh Giddey doesn't defend, he can defend. He's a little bit shorter at 6'4.5" at the 2 guard, but he has a 7-foot wingspan. He fits in either doing, will help bolster their draft class with them also bringing Caleb Wilson. I think Cameron Carr is the guy for the Bulls at pick 15. And we're back to another repeat pick. We got the Memphis Grizzlies. A lot of mocks have the Memphis Grizzlies going big because they think Cam Boozer is going to fall to them, but in my mock draft, Cam Boozer goes second, they get Darren Peterson, so it kind of switches out what people are going to think they're doing. Normally here I'd have them taking a guy like Christian Anderson to fill that point guard void, but they already went guard. So now they have a chance to bolster their front court. I think the best guy for them would be Haynes Steinbach. He can space the floor and sort of play beside Zach Edey. He's not going to get in his way down low around the hoop. He's going to be able to run the pick and roll or pick and pop type of thing. And he's also a great rebounder. I think what the Grizzlies do here is bring in a guy like Haynes Steinbach to help bolster their front court, especially after trading away Jaren Jackson Jr. and going into the rebuild, which is exactly why I have the Memphis Grizzlies taking Haynes Steinbach here at pick 16. Now we're back to the Thunder. And a guy like Christian Anderson has fallen right into the Thunder's lap. They don't really need anything. I honestly think the Thunder are going to trade this pick at the real draft, but in my mock, they have a chance to take a guy like Christian Anderson, and I don't think they'll think twice about it. He's 6'1" with a 6'6" wingspan. That is ridiculous for the point guard. Microwave scorer, can dime up and find his teammates at an elite level. It's absolutely scary that the Thunder are going to get him and Yaxel in my mock, and it could actually happen in real life. But here I have the Thunder taking Christian Anderson. And we're back to the Charlotte Hornets. There's one guy I have the Charlotte Hornets taking here, one guy only, and that's Dalen Swain. They have a little bit of a hole at wing, and nobody really knows what's going on with Miles Bridges this offseason. But they have a chance to bring in a guy that can come off the bench, be a defensive stopper, but he also plays kind of an interesting offensive game. He's known for being a slasher, doesn't really shoot a ton. He was shooting flashes in the tournament and knocking it down at a 34% clip. But he's one of those guys that can kind of play like a point forward. He drives to the hoop extremely well because of how athletic he is, but he also finds his teammates extremely well. I think that's a great skill set that the Charlotte Hornets could use. And on the other end, he'll bring a great defensive impact. Super athletic with defensive upside. And like I said, the shooting is improving, which the Charlotte Hornets don't really need more of, but they might get more of with him. He's 6'6.5" with a 6'10" wingspan. I think he'd slide right into the rotation and fit really well. Now up to pick 19 with the Toronto Raptors. There are a ton of Raptors fans that want them to go guard, like a shot creating kind of guard that can find his teammates as well, because they don't really have a true point guard on the roster. They have Emmanuel Quickley, but he's one of those traditional point guards that they really want. But honestly, I think the best pick for them here would be a guy like Chris Sinak Jr., another guy that's upside galore. Super high ceiling if he can figure out how to use his athleticism and talent. Has shown an ability to space the floor out. Another 6'10" guy that with a 7'5" wingspan. So you know he's going to be able to block shots and defend the hoop. He showed that at Houston this year. And he runs the floor like a wing, which is ridiculous. The Raptors don't really have a guaranteed center back next year. Mamu is a guy that I have to try and bring back in free agency. And Jakob Poeltl did not look great in the playoffs, and he was injured all season. I think the Raptors need to address their center need, and they can do it right here with Chris Sinak. I think he complements Scotty Barnes well. I think he complements all their pieces well. Continues to solidify the defensive identity they're trying to build, but also has some offensive upside that he can kind of grow into. I think Chris Sinak is the best pick for the Raptors here. Now up to the San Antonio Spurs. The biggest need for them is kind of like a wing front court type of guy, like a small forward, power forward that can provide some shooting. They don't really have a ton of bench depth in that position. Their only bench depth in that position right now is Keldon Johnson and Carter Bryant, and no one knows what Keldon Johnson is going to be on the team next year. There were talks of him possibly being traded, and Carter Bryant is definitely still learning and does not bring a ton of offensive upside. I honestly think the best player for them to go after here would be a guy like Allen Graves. He's 6'8", super big bodied, and shoots the 3-ball at above 40%. He really came alive in the tournament for them in that game. He also has an ability to play the guard. He grew up playing point guard his whole life, so he has tremendous basketball IQ. He can find his teammates. He gets in the post and uses his size against smaller defenders. And then he also has the ability to be a pick and pop option or even a catch and shoot option. I think he'd slide into the Spurs rotation very well and just give them an even deeper young core that they already have. Next up, we have the Detroit Pistons. I kind of have them going guard here. And with the guards available, I think they go a guy like Bennett Sturts. They don't really have a relief point guard option to help out Cade Cunningham. They have Dennis Jacobs, but he's kind of more of a 2 guard, not really like a playmaking guard. Bennett Sturts is a guy that can shot create for himself as well as playmake. He stands at 6'3", but has a 6'6" wingspan. He jumped from the D2 to D1 level in the last 3 years and didn't take a step back once. If anything, he got better every time he got up, which was nuts to see. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Detroit Pistons. They don't really have a ton of creation on their bench or scoring as it is as a whole. It's kind of just Cade Cunningham, and then everybody else helps him out every now and then. Bennett Sturts can be a guy that can bring in offense. He's an instant offense player. Let Cade play off ball a little bit. Give Cade some rest too. I think Bennett Sturts would be the best player for the Pistons here on my board. The Sixers are in a situation where they don't know if they're going to bring back both Grimes and Oubre next year. They're both going to be expensive, and they don't really have the money for it. But at the same time, with the new GM and the new front office stuff, nobody really knows what's going to happen with guys like Joel Embiid, guys like Paul George. They may shift over to a rebuild that is fully centered around guys like VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. I don't think they need to go point guard here. I think they need to go wing here to address the loss of one of Oubre or Grimes. So that's why I have them selecting Isaiah Evans here. A guy that can really come in, an instant offense guy, knock down the shots off, catch and shoot, could even create his own shot. Super athletic, super quick, has big defensive upside as we saw as the year went on. A super intriguing developmental talent for them. And I think he's the guy they go after to kind of fill that wing void and give them some relief going into free agency. Now we're back to the Atlanta Hawks. This is where I think they go point guard, and I think they go Abuko Okori. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who shined last year as a point guard, but he's not really a traditional point guard. He's more of a shot-creating, catch-and-shoot kind of guy. He isn't the best playmaker. I mean, Abuko Okori is not a great playmaker and also a shot creator, but he can be that point guard for them that they need. It's one of their holes as they go in the offseason, and they have the chance to address this and their big man hole in the draft. So that's why I have them selecting Abuko Okori here. Now up to the Knicks. I've seen a ton of Knicks fans that wanted Isaiah Evans, but as we all know, he just went to the Sixers in my mock. But then the next guy I see a lot of talk about going to the Knicks is a guy like Koa Pete. Just a super smart player with Aaron Gordon upside, as it says right here. Isn't the best shooter, can't really stretch the floor out, but he stands at 6'7", is super strong, and has a 7-foot wingspan. His defensive potential and rebounding is exactly what the Knicks would be looking for in a player in the draft. They already have scoring when it comes to Brunson, Bridges, OG, and Cat. They don't really need any more of that. They don't really need any more playmaking, ball handling either. They need a guy that's going to come in and just play his role and be an absolute dog. Kind of to complement OG when he comes off the floor, let a guy like Koa Pete come on the floor and do exactly what he's doing. So that's why I have them taking Koa Pete here. Now up to the Lakers, and I think there's one guy the Lakers should draft. I think the Lakers absolutely need to address their need at center. DeAndre Ayton is not cutting it. He's probably going to be back in his player option next year. And the other guy is Jackson Hayes, who isn't much better. The Lakers absolutely need a big man, and Terrace Reed showed to be an absolutely dominant big man, rebounding and even scoring and finishing around the hoop all throughout the tournament. His stock definitely shot up during his tournament run. He was putting up a ton of like 20 point, 15 rebound games, stuff like that. And he averages 2 blocks a game. He's a tremendous pick and roll option for Luka. He's athletic and has an NBA ready frame. He's more of like a modern big man, not one of the new stretch big men, but he would be a tremendous help right away from them. And I think Luka would really enjoy playing with him. He fills a definite need for this team. I think he'd be the perfect fit for them at 25. Next up is the Nuggets, who have also kind of been in a lot of trade talks lately with nobody being safe on their roster, as they say, except for Jokic. But their biggest concern going into free agency is what's going to happen with Peyton Watson. They have a chance in the draft to go kind of address that just in case he does leave in free agency. And the guy that's falling to them that would kind of be that replacement is Joshua Jefferson. I didn't watch too many Iowa State games, but I've heard a ton of great things about Joshua Jefferson. A difference maker on the floor, shot 34% from 3, but it's the defensive versatility and the point forward upside that I really like about him. He stands at 6'8", has a 6'11" wingspan. I am rounding up, but I think he'd be a really good fill-in for what Peyton Watson was doing last year. You know, Peyton Watson was kind of guy that would defend and then hit his shots when he had to. Was able to create for himself a little bit more this year, especially with all the injuries that they had. Joshua Jefferson may not be able to do that right away, but he's definitely going to be a guy that can come in and fill that hole if Peyton Watson does end up leaving in the offseason. That's why I have the Denver Nuggets taking him here. Now we get to the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, I honestly think, will trade this pick to try and bring in some better talent. But for the sake of my draft, as I mentioned earlier, nobody's trading picks. It's all as what the picks stand at right now. The biggest hole for the Celtics that we saw in the playoffs, besides their live by the 3, die by the 3 that kind of killed them, was their lack of a big man presence. They have Neemias Queta, they have Vucevic, but Vucevic got dogged by Embiid, and Neemias Queta also could not do anything when trying to guard him. They have a chance of bringing a guy who honestly fits the Celtics play style in Henry Vassar, a stretch big, stands at 7 feet tall, showed an ability to rebound well and block shots all season long in North Carolina. He shoots 42% from 3 at 7 feet tall. He would be a tremendous add for this lineup and really help them address their big man need without having to go out and pay a ton of money for one. That's why I have the Celtics taking Henry Vassar here. Now we're on to the Timberwolves, who, as everyone knows, their biggest need is going to be point guard, especially with DiVincenzo not being on the roster next year. They are in some talks to bring in Ja Morant, but I'm going to have them addressing this need during the draft and taking a guy like Malik Thomas. He stands at 6'3" and isn't a traditional point guard, more of a 2-guard kind of guy, but has shown flashes to play make and create for others, while also showing an ability to score the ball in a variety of ways. A very physical player with athleticism and two-way impact, looked really solid at Arkansas all season long. Like I said, he stands at 6'3", but he has a 6'7" wingspan. That'll be huge at the point guard position to provide defensive impact alongside Anthony Edwards there. I think he's their guy here. I think Minnesota has to take Malik Thomas to kind of fill that point guard need, especially if they can't retain Ayo Dosunmu in the offseason. Now we're here at the Cavs. I don't really know what direction the Cavs are going to go in. I would assume they want to try and get guard presence, but with no guards available, they got to go with the next best option, which would be some wing depth. The only guys that they really have on their roster that can provide great wing depth are like a Jalen Tyson and Dean Wade. They have Max Strus, he's kind of more of a 2-guard. This roster has a ton of holes that they kind of need to address. Honestly, I don't know what they're going to do this offseason, but for the sake of the mock draft, I have them taking Kareem Lopez out of New Zealand. He's 18 years old, NBA ready frame. I don't know too much about him. He was supposed to go earlier in a lot of mock drafts, but as the times progress, he's kind of fallen on people's boards. His stats don't jump out at you, but from the film, he's definitely an NBA ready player, and I think the Cavs could take a shot on a guy like him. So I have them taking him here at pick 29. And for the last pick of my first round mock draft, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks could kind of go any direction here. Best player available would be a guy like Jaden Quaintance. We didn't really see a ton of him at Kentucky, but when he was at Arizona State, he looked incredible. I think the biggest thing is he's still going to be 18 on draft night and has 2 years of college basketball under his belt. He stands at 6'9", but has a 7'5" wingspan, has shown incredible ability to be a rim protector, and super athletic lob threat player. Would be great in the pick and roll with their guards as well as with Cooper Flag, and definitely won't get in any of their ways, as he'll be kind of around the hoop of that dunker spot area. They've had a ton of issues with Derek Lively and his injuries, as well as Daniel Gafford hasn't been able to stay healthy. I know Jaden Quaintance had his injury issues this year, never actually played, but the Mavericks could take a chance on him to try and develop him and turn him into something, which is why I have them rounding out the first round by taking Jaden Quaintance at pick 30. That is my first round mock of the 2026 NBA draft. I'd love to hear what you guys think of my picks, as well as what you guys would have done differently or where you guys are leaning, but I also want to hear what you want your favorite teams to do in the draft. Let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to this draft on Tuesday.